and welcome! Today we are taking a full look at the Nerf N-Series Pinpoint. This blaster seems to be kind of a successor to the Elite 2.0 Eagle Point. It is clearly a blaster that is going to focus a lot on aesthetic, but we will see how it performs. Let's jump right in. Now included in the box is of course the Pinpoint itself, the barrel extension, which unfortunately is not a removable barrel. Just like a Centurion or that Fortnite sniper rifle, once you stick this barrel on, it is not coming off. Or at least I should say it is not intended to be removed afterwards. And out of the box, the Pinpoint will not function without the barrel. To install the barrel, just line up the prongs to the holes. The 3 prongs go on the top and the 1 goes on the bottom, and simply push until it clicks. And now the barrel is installed. Also in the box, of course, you get the bolts. Luckily, these are thread-on bolts, which I really like seeing. Most of the time, I am going to be priming this blaster from the left side, so I'm just going to stick it through the left and thread on the other bolt to the right. Tighten them up a bit, and you should be good to go. Also in the box, we get the N-Series magazine. This one holds 10 darts, and I think this will be the standard for the N-Series, so this should be compatible with other blasters. In fact, I know it will be compatible with the Sprinter. We get 18 proprietary N-Series darts, not quite double your darts, but very close, and we get the instructions. Loading the magazine is basically the same experience as what was on the Ultra Speed. You just make sure your darts are pointing the right direction, and just push straight down. And loading seems pretty easy. Now the only downside to a magazine like this is that every time you insert the magazine and remove it, you will lose a dart. The nice thing about this design is you do not have to prime the bolt back to insert the magazine. Going over the blaster, we have a pretty comfortable grip. Some people might not like this thumb hole design, but I think it's alright. The stock might be a little bit tight for some people, but it is longer than the Eagle Point. At least I think so. Unfortunately, the scope is not removable. And oddly, we do have a tactical rail right in front of the scope, with 2 places to lock an attachment, just like on the Infinite or Rampage. But the tactical rail placement is very strange. I would have liked to see a tactical rail under here for a flashlight or a grip, but instead we have these rails in front of a non-removable scope. Very weird, and in my eyes, it makes these 2 rails up here pretty useless. It doesn't seem like we have any real dedicated sling mounts, but you could of course, find different places on the blaster to put a sling. On the left side only, we do have the jam door. You cannot open the jam door unless you prime the bolts back. Also on the left side only, we have the reprime switch. So if you prime the blaster, and for whatever reason cannot fire or pull the bolts back, pressing this switch will override that lock. And of course, like you've seen throughout this video, right here is the magazine release, and it is in a pretty good place. I can easily strike it with my finger from the grip, or from my offhand. It's a pretty good design. Now I think I went over everything, but to fire the blaster, assuming you have darts loaded in the magazine, simply pull the bolt back and push it forward. This blaster does not have slam fire. That of course wasn't a full magazine, but the firing of this blaster is pretty smooth. Some people have reported jams, but my model seems to run very well. Now let's take the Pinpoint outside and put it over the chronograph. Alright, here we are outside with the N-Series Pinpoint. We will of course be using brand new N1 darts. 91, 95, 90, 93, 92, and 96. So out of all the N-Series blasters that I've tested so far, this one actually has the highest FPS reading. Not by a significant amount, but it is definitely nice to see coming from the sniper rifle of the line. As a casual Nerf blaster, I am pretty happy with that performance. Now let's fire the rest of our magazine downrange. Those did fire pretty well, and I would say accuracy is very comparable to the agility. Sometimes they go really straight, and sometimes they kind of swerve off. Overall though, definitely better than Elite darts, even though that's not saying much. So what are my final thoughts on the N-Series Pinpoint? Overall, I really like this blaster. It fills the same spot that the Eagle Point did. It's not trying to be a super practical blaster. Obviously it's all faux barrel up here, but I mean, it looks the part, it feels the part, and in some ways I do like this blaster better than the Eagle Point. The biggest things that I don't like are the non-removable barrel and the non-removable scope. I feel like both of these would have been very easy fixes. We have an upcoming N-Series blaster that looks like it will be able to take N-Strike barrels, and making this scope an N-Strike attachment seems like it would have been a no-brainer. But I really like the way this blaster feels. In my experience, it operates very smoothly. I like the trigger pull. I think the ergonomics, while a little bit tight in some areas, are pretty solid. I think the magazine release placement is really good, and I think this is just a very fun blaster for a lot of reasons. Now, while my thoughts are pretty positive on the Pinpoint, of course, don't buy this blaster expecting pro performance or anything super competitive. This is a casual, goofy Nerf blaster. Whether the N-Series darts are worth investing in, that is fully up to you. But those were my thoughts on the N-Series Pinpoint. I would love to hear your thoughts on the blaster. If you are interested in the Pinpoint, I will have the link in my description. Thank you very much for watching, subscribe for more, and happy blasting.